right, I see that people are joining. Okay, so in the interest of time, we are going to begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hospitality Forward Speaker Series. This is Leila Naderi, Director of Partnership Development at Alliant International University. Thank you for being with us today. Hope all of you and your loved ones are safe and healthy today. At Alliant International University, it's our mission to connect, educate, and empower the community for positive changes in the world. So during this time of crisis also, we want to stay true to our mission, and we want to be part of solution, and we want to be in service to you. So we are partnering with amazing organizations, thought leaders, and experts for these webinar series. Before I announce the agenda for today, I would like to inform you that we are recording this webinar, and the video will be shared with you so that you could share with your network. Also, you could submit your question through the box in the webinar, Q&A box in the webinar, and your questions will be answered towards the end of the webinar. So for agenda today, we will begin with a message from Dr. Rachna Kumar, Dean of California School of Management and Leadership. Then we will have Rodrigue Kolayani, President of Vatel USA, for Vatel overview. Then our facilitator, Natalie Claire-Virovac, Program Director of Vatel USA, will introduce our speaker, Mr. Luc Delafosse. Please stay tuned because he has prepared an inspiring and amazing speech, and his topic is about how the hotel industry is facing the crisis and the new emerging opportunities. And of course, towards the end, we will open to Q&A, and we will have a final notes and announcement at the end. I would like also inform Vatel students that at 11 a.m. Since we complete the webinar, you can stay online for additional conversation and Q&A with our speaker. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Rachna Kumar.
Thank you, Dr. Naderi, and good morning to everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this webinar today with a very accomplished speaker, Mr. Luc Delafosse, who you will meet in a couple of minutes, very shortly. I am Rachna Kumar. I'm the Dean for California School of Management and Leadership. California School of Management and Leadership is one of the 5 schools within Alliant International University. So I wanted to take just a few minutes to let you know a little bit about the programs that the management school offers and give you ideas about where your future education journey can go with us. We offer programs at the bachelor's level, master's level, as well as the doctoral level. The strategy of CSML is programs which have a strategy towards managing tech and technology and quantitative fields, a very growing, trending field. We have programs that are also focusing on hospitality management, and we offer those programs with Vatel partners. You will meet the president of Vatel USA in just a few minutes, and that is a growing focus for our programs. To list out the programs that we offer, some are on ground in San Diego, and we also offer online. We have an MS in data analytics, an MS in information systems and technology, an MS in healthcare analytics, a BS in information systems and technology, DBA and MBA and BS with concentrations in IT and in digital marketing. The MBA comes with a hospitality management focus, and that, like I said, that is offered in partnership with our Vatel partners. So with that, I will hand over to Mr. Rodrigue Kolayani from Vatel USA.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. So good morning, good evening, or even good night, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Rodrigue Kolayani. I'm the president of Vatel USA. So at Vatel, we offer a bachelor and MBA program in hospitality management. And really our goal is to train what I would call the next generation of managers and leaders for the hospitality industry. Our strength at Vatel is really our relationship with leaders and with the industry itself. During the last 6 months in Asia, Europe, and in the USA, we've gone through a terrible pandemic. The travel and hospitality industry has been on hold. But today with Mr. Delafosse, we are here to give you, I would say, a bright light in the future. The industry is well alive, as we can see hotels reopening throughout the world. And we believe that, you know, there is always hope at the end of the tunnels. We want to share a vision with Mr. Delafosse, who I had the pleasure to meet in 2016. I consider myself very lucky to have met Mr. Delafosse. He is for me a leader in the industry with a lot of charisma, with an incredible dedication to the hospitality industry, and I would say a kindness. He has always been available for our students. We worked together when he was at the Waldorf Astoria in Beverly Hills, and he has trusted our students and graduates. And it is an honor to start this webinar series called Hospitality Forward with Mr. Delafosse. Nathalie Plerviroac, my colleague, who is the Director of Hotel Relationship, will present Mr. Delafosse, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much, Luc.
Thank you for your introduction, Rodrigue. Thank you, Dr. Kumar, and thank you, Leila, for organizing this webinar. And of course, thank you, Luc, so much for doing this presentation with us and for the students. I think it's going to be priceless for them. As a very short introduction, because your credentials are very long, I want to say that you have an amazing career that really covers all continents, basically, in Europe, in France. You started with as general manager and renovation of the Hotel du Touquet in France in 1990. And then you were also the managing director at the Hotel de Crillon, which is an iconic hotel in Paris. And then, of course, we met you in Los Angeles for the opening of the Waldorf Astoria, and you were instrumental really on the success of this opening. And then you moved back to Europe in London with you were vice president for Europe for the group Gemara in London. And now you are calling us from Dubai. Riyadh in the Emirates, and you are now the vice president of the group Al Khozama. Maybe you can finish up a little bit about where you stand right now, and we are really happy to hear you. Now I'm gonna give you the lead and hear your presentation.
Thank you, Nathalie, and good evening, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Thank you, Dr. Naderi. Thank you, Nathalie, again, and thank you, Rodrigue, for having me today. Good evening, everybody, or good morning, wherever you are. And yes, it's clear, as we've heard, that at the moment, the situation is not necessarily really great around the world. We have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And clearly today, what I wanted to actually share with you is a little bit of my experience of the last 2 to 3 months. It was interesting because about 3 months ago, when we started to get hit, in Europe and in the Middle East with the pandemic, I started attending some webinars. I said, okay, why not? I have a little bit of time now, so I'm going to actually listen to what my, in a way, peers, my colleagues, have to say about the situation. And for the last 3 months now, I've been attended about 2 to 3 webinars a week. So you can see, you know, I had time, you know, clearly to do these sort of things. And I really, really enjoyed it. I learned quite a lot of things, and I remembered about 20% of what I heard as very interesting ideas that I tried to compile. So today is a compilation of what I have in a way appreciated and liked about all the webinars that I actually attended in the last 2 to 3 months. You will see there are some very interesting ideas, but one thing I didn't want to do is to actually give you another 30 minutes of what you already know, what you have already heard, you know, in the news, in the channels, on the internet, from your colleagues, and so on. So I wanted to actually take the level a little bit higher than what we normally do. So you will see the way I did the presentation is that I use, first of all, the keywords I liked, you know, when I heard those webinars. And then secondly, I added a little text to it. And finally, I went on the internet and I downloaded some pictures that I thought would be inspiring as well and that would help me in actually delivering the presentation to you today. So clearly the topic I was given was actually simple, is to discuss how the hotel is facing the current crisis and create new emerging opportunities. And in a way, the question is, how are we going to respond to the current situation? We can either remain positive and stay focused on our tangible actions that we can take to support our colleagues, our owners, and our customers. This is clearly in the DNA of hoteliers all around the world. What is now the revised hotel game plan? Not only to actually get through this crisis, but also coming out on the other end in full stride. I think this is also very important to learn from those opportunities and to, in a way, transform those opportunities in our permanent plan, in our permanent strategy. And finally, and perhaps one of the most important is, how as the business leader, and here we have a key word, what is leadership at the end of the day? How do we respond to it? So I wanted to actually start with 3 options I wanted to actually offer you today. The first one is, of course, that's natural. Whenever we are hit with a crisis, you know, or something unprovoked happens to us, like an accident or anything, we tend to panic. It's natural. You could allow yourself to get consumed by enormity of the situation. And this pandemic is actually really, really bad. And find yourself caught up in a 24/7 news cycle. Everywhere you listen now, internet, TVs, colleagues, whatever, you know, we only speak about one thing. And that's quite actually a difficult topic that we have to repeat and live through every day and day again. And if this is what you think and what you actually are living the situation, I think that you are most likely feeling quite emotional right now, very concerned about the future and beginning to feel a little overwhelmed. Again, this is a natural behavior. You know, I had a little bit of panic as well, don't worry, yeah? Perhaps as well you are starting to use more negative focus words, like struggle, like difficulty, like hard in your vocabulary. Your perception is being distorted due to focusing on the problems and not necessarily on the solutions. This is not a place you want to be. This is not a place you want your mindset to go to. And that's interesting because clearly the vast majority of our people, even the professionals in our industry, they are in this attitude, or they started with this attitude of panicking. The other option today is perhaps you are pausing. So you hit the button pause. Through sheer uncertainty, you may just stop, do nothing. begging the weight of the whole thing to pass over. Through all the doubt, you have perhaps become paralyzed. You are no longer asking yourself the right questions, like, how should I adjust my business? Is it the right time to be marketing? How can I innovate and look for new possibilities? Clearly, adjusting your business, thinking about marketing, and innovate, create something new are the three actually key words that we need to take from this slide. You find your days becoming unproductive and have hardly any resemblance for a game plan. You are basically frozen as you feel stuck between a multitude of things you could be doing, but in effect, you achieve nothing each day. Waiting for this to blow over is not a solid game plan, is it? So let's look at the third option, pivot. The 3 Ps, panic, pause, pivot. If this is you, well done. You fit into the elite few that firstly take a positive approach to the situation at hand and demonstrate action, ideas, fresh thinking to the team around you. You are in fact providing hope by example, which is clearly what we need right now. You are not ignoring the dilemma, but assessing and looking for the opportunity to make a positive change in your business while the rest of the world goes mad. And we've had numerous examples of the world going mad in the last few weeks. The way we see it, in a catastrophe, there is always opportunity. In this case, we think while we are largely at the will of the wind right now, we can prepare for the future. Pivoting, it's also keeping moving, can come in many forms. While your competitors are either panicking or pausing, you can still be moving forward. Even if your movement is only small, baby steps every day, you are still making ground, especially when it is measured against those that are sitting still or going even backwards. And so your movement is multiplied by their lack of moving or by the way they are actually posing. Pivoting is clearly the way to go. Now, how? What do you mean? How do I pivot? How do I move from one side to the other direction? Let's look at it. The good news today is that we've got this. We all have the solutions. We already operate in a dynamic and fast-paced industry that places huge demands on us as hospitality professionals. We are already well trained for this, as it is the environment we have become accustomed to. We are hoteliers. We have a sense of hospitality. We have a sense of service. We have a sense of people. The advice is to try to take advantage of the situation. Of course, once we have taken care of some of the basics, like reducing operational expenses, for example, and stabilizing our cash flow as a business, we can look to what we can take action. And that's very, very important. What I'm saying here is that we can all do it. What we cannot do, though, is this is, again, very natural. It's like panicking. It's worrying. Worry is actually really something that is human, and sometimes we need to worry. It could be a good sign. There is a quote that I heard a long time ago, and I wanted to actually share with you today. And I'm pretty sure it is exactly the same way I actually remember it. There is no point worrying about things you cannot control, because if you can't control them, there is no point of worrying. If it's out of your control, there is nothing you can do about it. There is no point worrying about things you can control, because if you can control them, there is no point of worrying. So clearly, in a way, the fact that we can go through different stages whenever we are hit with a very bad crisis like we are living now. Panicking is maybe natural, pausing as well, pivoting is the right thing to do. And also we can understand. We need to understand people. They are worried. And as leaders, what we need to do is to raise the bar. Time. Time is important. Time is maybe the most precious thing we have nowadays. We have time, right? I hope you agree. Which hotel occupancy is reducing in most markets? It's very clear. Hotels have gone actually down occupancies, like rocket. From 60, 70% bookings, we had on the books, for the next 3 to 4 months, we dropped in 2 or 3 days to 0% in certain areas in the world. So the suggestion is to why not use this time to keep the wheels in motion and pointing us in the right direction. And so it goes without saying to encourage, of course, to neither panic nor sit still, but just keep moving. If we can allow and combine time and moving, we already have a plan. I wanted to also now, in a way, challenge you a little bit today by saying, but okay, in which direction? So I'm sure you've heard a lot about what hotels should be doing, what the restaurants should be doing. It's very interesting because actually, when you look at our industry, the hospitality and hotel industry was the first to shut down. And we are one of the last to reopen. So this crisis is going to hit the hospitality industry in a very bad way, like, nothing before. Nothing like, for example, clearly, if you look back a little bit, the SARS situation, or the mad cow disease about 20 years ago now, or even 9/11. It's clear that we are now in a situation where disruption is actually becoming the norm more and more often. So the travel industry sector is suffering, significant disruption. And the lodging industry is very much impacted. Occupancy rates around the globe are dropping and continue to drop. Actually, the good news today is that I heard on a webinar I was attending just before yours, that now the bookings are actually starting to show again. I give you an idea. In Europe, for example, in certain countries, it had dropped the bookings, the number of bookings year on year had dropped by 90%, 95%, 98%. Now it's increasing to 10% compared on last year. So in the US now, in certain parts of the US, we are seeing some increase in occupancies now between 20 to 30%, which is good news. Yeah? And I even heard that in certain areas close to Miami, for example, the bookings are actually coming quite well. So it's very interesting to see how different countries react to the crisis. Using the COVID-19 pandemic as a time to create positive PR or plan for future consolidation implies that many potential opportunities are progressive and will provide long-term benefits. It is likely that the majority of hotels will be aware of their strengths and weaknesses. That's time to actually really now sit back and look at where we are at and where we want and or need to get at. That I think is a very interesting process. But opportunities and threats need to be carefully assessed in order to maximize top-line growth wherever possible. So I chose a little picture on the internet showing the 3 dimensions of disruption purposely. It's because I feel that in the hotel industry, what we are not very good at doing is actually, we cannot think out of the box. We are always one of the last sector in the world to adopt new skills, new technology. So let's hope that the hospitality industry and our great leaders in the hospitality world will actually now create the new way that will become permanent in our hotel industry. This is why I actually chose this slide with 3D printing, artificial intelligence, advanced robotics, virtual reality, and so on. Because I find that emerging technology will actually help and support the hospitality industry in the future. And the future starts now. Of course, we need to look at the benefits and the cost. Always, look at the two sides of the coin. Myself, I've chosen to look at the benefits. Let's be positive about it. Key benefits. Assessing the impact of COVID is having on the industry players. Look at the impact coronavirus is having on markets, share prices, owners, operators, suppliers, contractors, guests, and employees. Understand what constitutes strengths and weaknesses. A SWOT analysis is the minimum we can do in our businesses right now. Look at the real-world example of company strategies. That's also very important. In the presentation, later on, I just picked 2 or 3 leaders, key leaders in our industry, and I wanted to listen or to have you listen to their message. So we have choices to make. This is the time, the right time for choices. So clearly, key topics covered. As I mentioned, different scenarios, very simple. We are not reinventing the wheel. SWOT analysis is perhaps one very simple example. I purposely chose that example. Very simple. Not many actually hotels have done that so far. As the pandemic started to take hold globally in February, hoteliers began projecting an impact lasting more than a year. Experts are saying clearly that the recovery will not be in 2021 fully. We will start seeing the results of 2019 in 2022, depending on the region in the world. Now, the travel season is in sight, and we are no closer to visiting the places we love. It's clearly very interesting to understand. Am I going to think about holidays now? Am I going to think about taking holidays later? Or should I say, no, I really need to actually book my holidays right now? But what if? What if the economic crisis is going to actually clearly create more problems? May I not wait a little bit? This is clearly now coming. After the health crisis, the economic crisis, as you know, is actually upon us. And tomorrow, there will be a social crisis to follow. So while the short-term responses to create a safer hospitality experience are being discussed, what are the long-term implications that will change how we travel and experience hotels? How do we rebuild the trust of hotel guests and give them the confidence to return safely to hotels? Safety and health is the new paradigm shift. So we have the choice, as we actually quickly saw it. We can either continue or we can go back. No doubt that a lot of companies, a lot of hotels will go back. That's very clear. This is the easiest direction to take. The ones who will continue will make the difference. Continue to be the beacons for the community, for example. Community, such important. Let's start with our community. In the weeks and months since the beginning of the pandemic, hotels have stepped up to serve a higher purpose for their communities. We've seen it. We've seen many examples. The Hospitality for Hope initiative, for example, provided rooms to house healthcare workers, adapt to temporary healthcare spaces, and house to the unsheltered. Post-pandemic, we can expect hotels to embrace an even stronger sense of social responsibility as they engage and welcome back their communities. The new crisis, how hotels give back. This is very important. And in the hospitality sector, my personal opinion is that we are still a lot of things to do and we can do in order to give back. Where we have to start is definitely to think local. This is the key. This is actually pivoting and staying local will be already a great plan for many restaurants, many hotels in the hospitality around the world. Think local first. Hotels will continue to be stronger community partners long after the current crisis. If we think local, if we think community. They will continue to provide for their employees, offer refuge following the next hurricane or flood, or serve meals to those in need. What a lot of hotels, a lot of restaurants started to do, they must continue. They must actually now keep it in their DNA. That's the giving back. We have to be giving back. And what I love about the YZ generation today is that they really now have understood this before us, and this is part of their humanity. And for me, I have great hope, not in our current generation, my generation, but more in the new generation to come. You can see them now on TV. They're very smart people, and they are not afraid to speak up. Good. They need to continue, and they need to actually fight for their community and locally. In the immediate future, as the world begins to reopen, hotels will be the hub that welcomes their communities with activities, events, local hospitality, until people become comfortable again with airline travel. This is a good start. We will see an initial focus on local drive to destinations, reinforcing the importance of localization and community connections. Essential stays and business travel are expected to return slowly, while leisure travel by people and discretionary incomes will pick up over time. I'm talking about leisure business, holidays. Safety has to be really paramount. Promote a culture of safety. If an hotel can actually really demonstrate that it has integrated safety in all their processes, all their procedures, I think that will be already a good lesson learned. In the post-9/11 world, many travelers encountered increased security measures. As we learn from those tactics, hoteliers must balance now safety measures with the sensibility that helps guests feel welcome. Clearly, welcoming a guest with a mask is not a nice welcome. We need to do better than this. Some measures will be tangible and immediate. Things like touchless technology, keyless entry, mobile payments, and you know even better than I do, that are tied to the individual guest. Other measures such as air filtration system, UV light sources, disinfecting sprays, healthy material, and so on, new housekeeping protocols, all this. We've heard this many, many times already. I think this should be already implemented, already embedded in our practices, and clearly we should be moving on. We should be moving on to humanity. We should lean into human connection. This is what hospitality is for. This is for social interaction. As technology, digital interfaces, and mobile connectivity become more prevalent, we have to remember that human interaction creates the memorable moments hotels are known for. There is still nothing more comforting than a friendly face and a warm smile. What is harder to ascertain is how new social distancing norms will impact social spaces in hotels. We have seen the debates on TV about, distancing the tables in restaurants and so on. In places like lobbies, cafes, pools. As a start, gatherings may become smaller and more intimate with more meaningful and exclusive experiences. Now we are leading to experiences. The design of public spaces will be more flexible, adaptable to accommodate changes in behavior we can still anticipate. Flexibility, interesting. Flexibility in the workplace is the next big thing. We've seen it, working remotely, and people being very happy working remotely from home now and not necessarily really willing to go back to work. So companies now, employers, have to become more flexible. So as I mentioned already, working remotely, goods delivery services, convention and exhibitions, large space requirements, occupancy capacities may be adjusted. Hotel operators will be looking for flexibilities. Once in a lifetime social occasions, such as weddings, for example, are going to be key in order to reinvent the social interaction, and particularly when it comes down to family social gatherings. Such important. Experience. So as you know, Steve Jobs quote very clearly, in many ways, a great hotel is a sum of its experiences. Hoteliers should consider how their offerings, amenities, and spaces can be kept clean and safe. This is the basic now. Keeping in mind how they also create engaging and aspirational experiences for their guests. No matter how good your technology is, it should always go back and start from the guest experience. That actually leads me to, what does that mean? Feeling good, hospitable in an hotel. It's well-being. So you can see, well-being is actually quite complex. It's about work, housing, family life, social participation, leisure, health, security, environment, financial security, learning as well. It's clear that well-being, and the key message here is for you, should and must start with you. Look at your well-being. Look at what makes you feeling better, feeling well. Whether it's food habits, in a way, going to the gym, doing something with your family, whatever it is, that's where it starts. It starts with you. So if you were to actually change something, if you were to pivoting, look at your well-being in order to look after others. And particularly, if you make that your job, if you look after guests. How to do it now? Oh my goodness. I like this word design, because in hospitality, I think we are very good, or actually designers, architects are very good at designing hotels, but they are very, I was going to say something bad. You know, they are not that great at designing guest experience, in my opinion. We need to redesign the well-being. Without design, there can't be hotels. Without design, there cannot be any food experience. A chef, when he's creating a plate, is designing a plate. Yeah? So use design to promote well-being. Use design to promote good health. If we don't integrate the design in actually wearing a mask, that's the basic. If we start seeing, continue to see those awful masks on faces of people in the hotels, in the restaurants, this is dreadful. I have no other word for it. From a design perspective, it's important to think about the guest experience. As I said, upon arrival, what measures can hotel take to provide guests with a feeling of health and well-being? Wearing a mask? Opportunity to create a wellness check zone. How do we do that? Going through a tunnel, being checked with the temperature? In-room workout option can be good. Why not? In-room workout, I'm all for it. Simplicity in design promotes the perception of cleanliness. Something that is well designed actually shows and sends a very strong message of positivity, of cleanliness, and the reset new aesthetic. Seamless surface, hard flooring, simple bedding material, and many, many other examples that we may actually have to rethink in our hospitality industry. Resilience. Resilience for me is actually very, very important. And I actually put that little picture of 8 steps to build professional resilience. There is no denying that people eventually will resume traveling. Those who will actually survive are those who will have actually make the effort to change, so they will have demonstrated their power of resilience. Opportunities. As I've actually now explained in the last few minutes, there are many opportunities still today that we can embrace in order to actually create new experiences. And clearly, what is not necessarily very good is that we continue seeing the politics happening between countries, but we can learn from each other, and we should continue to do so. Decision-making is very important. So clearly now, we need to be creative. We need to have new ideas. We need to, in a way, implement those new ideas as a permanent new normal. And that requires very strong decision-making. A good leader in the hospitality industry will be the one who will have demonstrated taking harsh decisions, but good ones. Needless to say that the pre-corona world was not good to us. The planet was about to actually almost explode, and the whole world was screaming about the terrible things which are about to happen. We were literally counting days when the planet, would be unfit for the human existence. After these decades of all efforts, I think we will have to bring only very little result, maybe even going backwards. Do we really want to go back to that world? The choice is ours. The choice is for each hospitality leaders, for each general manager to make a little change, to pivot. And the new thing. So we have now to create the new normal. It's clear that coronavirus suddenly changed the context of the world, has opened up audacious possibilities which never existed before. Suddenly we are at the tabula rasa, the new thing. I was very proud when I found that new word on internet, by the way. I thought, oh my goodness, that will be the new word to use. Before we restart the economy, we must agree on what kind of economy we want. And first and foremost, we have to agree that the economy is only a mean to achieve something. It facilitates us to reach our goals. It should not behave like being designed to actually be the target and to punish people. We should not forget for a moment that it is a tool made for us. Economy must be at our service. We must keep on designing and redesigning it until we arrive at the highest collective happiness. Tabula rasa. But okay, now, we need results. It's all good to have a good plan, to make very good promises. But there is no need to make excuses. At any point we feel that it is not taking us where we want to go, we immediately know that there is something wrong. And we need to fix. We need to fix the hardware, we need to fix the software, but we have to fix it. As a leader, we need to deliver results. And that's when it becomes extremely complicated. We cannot excuse ourselves for saying, sorry, we cannot achieve our goals. This time is over. The new generation keeps saying this every day now, and more and more and more. If we want to create a world of zero net carbon emission, for example, if we want to build the right hardware and software for it, then we will achieve it. If we want a world of zero unemployment, we need to do the same. If we want the world where there will be no concentration of wealth, then we need to do something about it. It is all about building the right hardware and the right software. When human beings set their mind to get something done, they just do it. We had a fantastic example a few days ago when Elon Musk actually delivered what he said, I'm going to do it. SpaceX. Excellent. That is result. The planet. We need to think about the planet and the very little thing that hotels can do. Instead of wasting, in a way, so much food, instead of wasting so much linen, so much hardware, so much software even, and even wasting their human component by laying off people whenever there is a crisis like we had. I know, I understand, it's not easy. At the end, who is paying? I get that. But you know, we can think again. The most exciting news in the coronavirus crisis is that it offers us almost limitless opportunities and a fresh start. We can start designing our new hardware and software. We can redesign as well as social and environmental consciousness in our hotels. Our simple global decision can actually always help in that direction. A clear instruction that we don't want to go back to the old world will be welcome. If we don't want to jump into the same frying pan in the name of recovery, we need to actually create a new hotel, a new department, even a new well-being, and we will have learned something from this crisis. So it's about time for reconstruction. I chose that little slide on social, economic, sustainability, environmental, and so on, because clearly we should not even call this recovery program. We should call it a reconstruction. Businesses will be made to play a key role to make it happen. Clear, it has to start with the businesses. Government must guarantee that they will actually now invest all their means and resources into reconstructing the world for tomorrow. We need to be very careful on how we choose our politics. And that, I think, is already clearly showing as well in the streets, you know, in different parts of the world. So it was interesting because I liked the idea of listening to what some of our key leaders are actually saying. So I chose three, and I will start with Arne Sorensen from Marriott. And he said, today we are really dealing with many unknowns. No one knows how long this crisis will last. But as a leader, I think that regardless of external circumstances, you can gain credibility when you are authentic in your communication, when you show your humanity. You have to be honest and transparent. Sometimes you have to take risks and sometimes you will fail, but you should surround yourself with smart, innovative thinkers who aren't afraid to tell you when you are wrong, particularly when decisions must be made in the middle of uncertainty. Always take the time to listen, learn, inquire, and collaborate. I don't know what you think, but I found it, you know, extremely inspirational. I think, you know, he means it, and he wants to apply this in his own company. Let's look at the second one. Sébastien Bazin, a French colleague from Accor. The thing that we should be clear on is our priorities. For me, that means protecting my people and supporting my communities. It's from those communities that we get strength, so it is our responsibility to look after them. It's also essential to recognize the strengths of our organizations, communicate openly with the teams, and instill values that will help get them through these difficult times. Little different style, as you can see, more direct to the priorities. However, let's look at results. Let's look at how many people Marriott, Accor, and I will mention other groups now, Four Seasons, Jumeirah, and other ones have laid off in the last 3 months. Mike Levin is the former president of Las Vegas Sands Corporation. In a position of leadership, the first thing you have to do in a crisis is stand with the pain. You must be incredibly participative with all your key people, and you must be present. You can run away from a crisis. A crisis is what determines what a great leader you are. There may be a marginal difference between you and another leader in good times, but that difference gets magnified by the better leader during a crisis. You need to understand what your customers are going through and what your employees are going through, and make them your priority. Like anything else, everyone has an agenda, and your job is to make sure your agenda is to take care of the people you depend on during the crisis. You will also depend on them after the crisis. Too many people are so focused on today, they're only looking to tomorrow. Actually, I chose him because that's the one I prefer out of the three. I don't know why. I get a good sense. Interesting. Maybe it's only talk, but I quite like this one. So now it's about time. It's about time we start reconstruction. We start reconstructing packages for social consciousness, driven plans and action. We must design our plan right now when we are in the thick of the crisis. When the crisis is over, there will be a stampede of old ideas and old examples of the bailout to rush the actions their way. We should not actually go back. Strong cases will be made to derail the new initiatives by saying these are untested policies. And clearly, we should continue the action. The action is the antidote of anxiety. It is the antidote of pausing. It is the antidote of panicking in a way. And the time is now. So I will end the presentation by, in a way, leadership. And I wanted to share with you, my definition of leadership. Things have changed. We are in a different world. Leadership is caring. Leadership is serving. Leadership is knowing. Leadership is acting. Leadership is showing. Capacity to recover quickly from difficulties is also nowadays a very important component of leadership. Ability to spring back into shape, our ability to be elastic, like a rate, elasticity in the rates. That's very important in rate pricing, for example, strategy. Think differently, discipline ourselves, redesign around emotion, create the new want to, not I have to. Choose between I have to and I want to. If you choose, I want to, you're already in the right direction. Remember now also who is paying, and that's important. And also remember who would benefit. So it's important, and that's where now a good leader will demonstrate his abilities to actually see who is paying. That will be more or less always the owner, or should be, and everybody will benefit. That is the objective. Think return on investment. We are in a business. This ends my short and sweet presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. And I have to say, I really enjoyed putting this presentation together, in the last few days. And I really thank you for giving me this opportunity today.
Thank you very much, Luc. That was so inspiring. I really hope all the students enjoyed the presentation as much as I did. Brilliant ideas, a lot of hope for the future and for this new generation of hospitality professionals that we help, build at Vatel. I would like to leave the say to Leila to finish with this presentation, and also say that we will keep the last 30 minutes for students who would like to interact with Luc and ask questions.
Oh, thank you, Nathalie, and thank you, Luc. That was truly inspiring talk. Really thank you for reminding us about the leadership, that it's all about right now caring, serving, knowing, acting, and showing up, actually. Yes. Thank you. Natalie, I know due to the interest of time, so your plan is basically to keep the Q&A after 11 a.m. So I know we asked only Vatel student, is that okay? So we could invite everyone who wants to stay for Q&A after 11 a.m. We want to wrap up officially the webinar, but also Q&A would be open for those who want to stay. So this is basically for even non-Vatel student, maybe that would be a good opportunity to ask questions, since we don't have Q&A time right now because of the time. So I just, for the final note, I just want to say thank you to Luc for sharing his insights and also his wisdom with us, joining from Saudi Arabia in Riyadh. Is just like, you know, this is also showing how our world is small, and also realizing also it's just like how important it is. It's just like, you know, this, we are all connected, and also when it comes to challenges also, it's really important to just come together for solutions. We hope, as you know, even Rodrigue highlighted, through this type of webinars, we could provide solutions for you, and you see the light at the end of the tunnel and see that, yes, the challenge is there, but also like, you know, this too shall pass. And also it's up to you based on those 3 Ps that Luc mentioned: panic, pause, or pivot. Hope we all decide to pivot more and just taking one step at a time, so that kind of like, you know, creating things that we want to versus we have to do. So without, with this one, just I wanted to have quite a couple of announcements before we wrap up the session, but also opening to Q&A, and anyone who wants to stay, more than welcome. So if we go to the next slide, we are going to, so Luc, I think you have access to the slides. If you just, yes, the next one. Yes, we have a couple of interesting announcements for CSML webinars, especially also hospitality as well. So please, like, you know, this is the webinar we are holding next week on June 10th, 5 p.m. Pacific time. I also share the link here, so you can just go ahead and register. We have invited Rafael Castellano, Commissioner at Port of San Diego, and he's also going to focus on solution, again, providing innovative, sustainable practices for economic growth in times of crisis. So we hope that we see you there. And also, next slide is, yes, our next Hospitality Forward Speaker Series is going to be on June 25th. Natalie, is it exactly the same time, right? 10 a.m. Pacific time.
It's going to be either 10 a.m. or maybe noon. We will see with the speaker needs to confirm the time, but it's going to be on June 25, and we will send out emails to with the link for those who want to attend.
Yes, and also when you join our webinar next week, we will actually have a webinar registration, everything also for Hospitality Forward Speaker Series confirmed, and you can actually get the updates next week as well. So with that being said, I just want to say, coming to the next slide, is that you could, this is like, you know, please feel free to reach out to any of us at Vatel or California School of Management and Leadership. You can, for any question you have about our programs or partnership opportunities, just like you can see our email address, phone number is there. So we are here to respond your questions, and we would be more than happy to see what really you think about this type of webinar series, and what you want actually from us to kind of like, you know, consider moving forward. With that being said, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who joined today, and also thanks to Luc, our speaker, for his amazing presentation. And I want to say thank you to our panelists, Dr. Kumar, Rodrigue, and of course our facilitator, Natalie, who did a fantastic job just organizing this. It's just like, yes. Have a wonderful day, and if you would like to stay for the Q&A, please feel free to join us. So with that being said, have a great day. Thank you.
Let's go to the Q&A now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leila. Thank you. So I think we can switch to, we don't have to share the screen on the PowerPoint now that we will interact with the participants.
Is that it? Yeah.
Okay, I have a black screen in front of me right now.
And we can leave this screen. I think it's fine.
Okay. We can use the chat for questions, and I see we already have a few. I want to mention also that we have attendees from the USA, where Vatel is located, but we also have attendees from Europe and France. I'm going to go through the questions, and India also. Yes, thank you. Boston. Everybody is saying really, really good thing about Luc, and thanking Luc Delafosse for this presentation. I don't really see questions.
Yes, I can see a question, Natalie, actually. It's a Q&A chat box. And
it's on the Q&A.
Yes, I see Abraham Torres is asking a question. Luc, what role do you think social media plays and will play in hospitality during our current state? Also, how will it help in recovery?
Social media is actually part of our life, whether we like it or not. And I'm not here to judge, exactly if it's good or not so good. I think there are some very good things about social media. I use some of it. I don't use all of it. There is so much, and it's evolving and changing actually every day. I think social media should continue to play a very important role in our communication, the way we communicate. Also in hospitality industry, there is still a lot. In the hospitality industry is not very famous for being at the forefront of innovation, particularly when it comes to technology, because we are much more a human face-to-face industry. And I would say that social media should be and play an even more important part in the hospitality industry of tomorrow. More and more now, we see guests who want the service on their terms and not on the hotel's terms. So I think it's important that companies, hotel groups, think out of the box and continue to grow and evolve the social media in the way they operate on a daily basis, which is at the moment very, very little. We only use a few apps, few things in order to communicate with our guests. It's not really embedded in the technology of what we are using every day. I'm pretty sure that tomorrow, the telephone in the rooms will be completely obsolete. The PMS, the way we do a check-in and a check-out, will completely disappear. There will be all through not only wireless technology, but through social media. So social media to me is the way to go. However, it's like internet. There is maybe a lot of good things, but there are also some bad things that we need to be very cautious about. What I would say now, though, is what is one of the risk, or clearly the critical objective of tomorrow for IT and social media, is security. Security of data, security of information, and security of our own information. That, I think, there is a lot at stake in order for our freedom, our liberty, using social media. So security, I think, will play a very important part in how the social media are actually dealing with the information that they receive.
Very well. Thank you, Luc. We have another question from Sasha Marco. He's asking, Luc, what is the current situation in Saudi Arabia regarding the hotels and restaurants reopening?
Oh, very good question. Actually, Saudi Arabia was one of the, I wouldn't say the first countries, but early to do the shutdown and to close the airport. So we've been actually now closed since early March, and we are early June. We are reopening slowly. The curfew was implemented as well. We had a curfew, let's say, from 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. the next morning, and then it was extended, and then it was reduced. When we started to see restaurants reopening for breakfast and lunch only, and hotels reopening, shops reopening, we started to see the cases rising again. So they are now adjusting this. They have restarted very recently the domestic flights. So we can fly now from Riyadh to Jeddah and other cities in the kingdom. They have really kept a good handle on the whole situation. And actually, we are all now waiting for the international flights to reopen, and Saudi Arabia will be again, open. And that's a good thing. Riyadh is a very much business city. So in the last few months, it was quite difficult, to do business in Riyadh. But people actually were really, really going with the guidelines and followed the rules. And I think they actually discipline everybody in order to actually protect the people. And it was good overall.
Very well, thank you for this answer. Another question from Shahines. Hello everyone, I would like to ask, what are the skills we should develop now in order to stand up from the competition in post-COVID-19? Thank you.
That's a good point. Looking at the competition, I'm sure that the competition in a way will not stand still. And if you look at the presentations, the keywords of the presentation, I think it's more or less all in there. But I think it's important that we actually change something. And in every challenge, the most important step is the first one. We need leaders to take initiatives, to make decisions, to change whatever we can in order to make the hotel, the world, the community better tomorrow. Very little things. How, do we actually organize our waste is actually very important. It was important yesterday. It's even more important tomorrow. How do we actually reorganize the health and safety of our guests so that they don't actually necessarily see it so obviously as it is today? I think this is clearly a big question, To me, for example, looking at the five-star industry, having all the waiters or all the receptionists wearing masks is not a solution. It's not a good permanent solution. I understand. When the house is in fire, you need more water to stop the fire. But then after that, you need to repair it. So clearly, the measures that were implemented were because of the house being on fire. And then tomorrow, we need now to actually make new decisions in order to repair.
Oh, very well. And do you have other suggestions for the young students who are starting their professional life? How, any advice on where to find work? What qualities are the hoteliers looking for?
Yes, I really feel, very sorry for what I've seen, what we are seeing in many countries in our industry. I will give you an example, and I'm not saying because it's my company, but it's true. We did not lay off one member of staff.
Oh.
We did not reduce one salary. And this is all coming from the very top in our organization. Simple. Now, every day, and it was not so obvious in my presentation, but the message at the end of the presentation is saying, at the end, the ownership is paying. Yes, at the end, the ownership must be paying. So when we see that now certain hotel groups, they are protecting themselves behind ownership to laying off staff, where are they to defend the staff? They cannot find another way. to look for cash flow facilities, to look at how we can actually protect our employees. So now my best advice would be for the youngsters that maybe it's not the best time to look for a new job right now, but hey, it's not easy, because hopefully in the next 2 to 3 months, hotels will reopen and they will need staff. So be ready. Be ready. Get your resumes out, get ready, learn as much as you can, be really bold and go for it. Do not hesitate to travel. Do not hesitate to take challenges. Do not hesitate to even take a job that you cannot see the opportunity, but in a way, you will always learn something. So if I were out of a job tomorrow, I will start by taking a little rest, and then I will start by pushing and getting back on the horse quickly in order to actually get back on track. I know it's not easy. Now, anybody who is listening to this video, you can contact me. You can look up, on LinkedIn if there is anything I can do to help, because this is another solution. I'm not saying, before we used to say you need to develop your network and so on and so forth. What I'm saying now, that if we help each other, that will be already a good start, a good solution of the new world. So please, guys, do not hesitate. Connect me on LinkedIn and send me your resumes, ask your questions, and I will be more than happy to help if I can, of course.
Yeah. And Natalie, thank you, Luc, for offering that to everyone listening. And I want to add to what you just said, Luc, is right now, for all the students, all the young graduates, I mean, don't panic, don't pause. Continue to work on your resume, continue to work on your education, and actually build your network. When Mr. Delafosse is saying, to contact him, to look on LinkedIn, I think everyone right now should be developing its network, getting in touch. And as a positive note also, we are in contact with a lot of hotels through the Vatel network. What I can tell you is true that hotels have not been hiring in the last 2, 3, 4 months. But we are getting calls now. Hotels are getting ready to reopen, and they are calling us to receive resume, to see applications. So don't wait. You can already start contacting your network, hotels around, because they are preparing for reopening and they need qualified candidates. So I would say for the last 3 to 4 weeks, we're starting to receive calls from hoteliers getting ready to reopen, and they need you, young professionals. So don't wait, don't pause, build your network, and things are coming up.
Yes, thank you, Rodrigue, and thank you, Luc. I think it's really, really important that the students and the young professionals know that it's important to stay out there and show they're here. And thank you so much for offering our students to contact you directly. That's priceless. We have a question from Deepak in India. He says, "Dear sir, thank you for a great motivational session. My question is, what inspiration do we provide to the aspiring hoteliers in the coming time? Their first concern has become why to join an industry which gets hit by natural disaster more than any other industry."
Yeah, in a way, it's true that the hospitality industry is the one that suffers the first and the most. Very clear. But having said that, hospitality has also a lot to offer. I don't know of another industry that, to me, is like a passport. In hospitality, you can travel the world. You can work in any country you want. This is already a blessing of our industry. In hospitality, for example, you can start as a dishwasher and you can end up as a VP, as a CEO even. There are many examples in our industry like this. So the great and the new generation coming up, I think is important. They are changing also the industry. it's the new generation now that I see does not accept what I accepted even myself when I started 40 years ago. And this is good. So I will encourage you to continue in the hospitality industry, to actually live your dreams, and because the hospitality industry can actually make it happen for you.
Very good. I believe that too. Another question, if I may, from Adrien, this time from France, is saying, knowing the current and upcoming sanitary crisis, do you think we should keep working all around the world, or should we try to climb the professional ladder within only one country? So you basically started to answer this question.
It's a good question. And you know, I cannot really necessarily say that one is better than the other. Personally, what I loved is that when I started more than 40 years ago now, I really wanted to use this job. At the beginning, it was a job for me, but I really enjoyed to actually travel. When I realized that I really wanted to become also a leader in this industry, I couldn't wait. I wanted to become a leader, but very young. So that was my objective. And then after that, I said, okay, maybe I can make it in France, but why not London? Why not the US? And the US, as you know, came quite late. Only in 2015, when I went to the US for the first time, to work in the US for the first time. And then before that, I had the opportunity to work in Dubai. More recently, just before Saudi, I went to Macau for 3 months. It was a very interesting experience. Hospitality is fantastic. It gives you the opportunity to travel. It gives you an opportunity to become a better human being. You can only become a better human being by learning from others, from different countries. To me today, I think I made the right choice. Traveling, traveling, and traveling again.
Very good. I have Youssef, I believe, from Tunisia. How can we encourage the guests to travel to their preferable destinations under these restrictions? The fact to stay 1 week at least under lockdown from medical checking, will it be really irrational for them?
Yeah, no, good question, Youssef. Very, very, very interesting. What we are seeing now is actually not very economically viable. We are seeing a lot of measures, decisions being made, you know, and they do not necessarily make really real sense to me. There is no point, as Youssef is actually saying, that, you know, you reopen hotels, but they have to be in quarantine for 14 days before they can actually enjoy their holidays. Doesn't make sense. So I think, you know, the common sense will actually really prevail at some point. And let's hope that in the next few weeks, you know, the governments will make more rational decisions in order to reopen hotels, reopen airlines, so that, you know, people can enjoy proper holidays during the summer. I sincerely hope so. And that was a very good point from Youssef, you know. It's all to do, you know, this is to me a recovery plan that is not right. Doesn't work.
Yeah, we still have some
yes.
to go.
A long way to go. Hopefully yes. Not so long.
Hopefully.
Before they make the right decisions.
Yes, and Steve from San Diego, one of our students, is asking also a question, and that relates to some positions that were offered to our students. He said, "Dear Mr. Delafosse, during those changing times, as you said, it represents an opportunity to change. Nevertheless, I have seen a new trend going on in the hospitality industry. In fact, I was currently applying for an assistant F&B manager position. The hotel where I was applying explained me that 75% of the applicants were already senior executive before the outbreaks. How can we stand up in front of those senior executives as we are freshly out of the MBA in this current outbreak?"
That's a very good point, and I've heard this many times. You know, it's always like this. So what is interesting here is that, yes, I understand that we want something and we cannot get it because there is always somebody else, you know, who deserves it more, or, you know, whatever it is, maybe right, maybe wrong. Okay, fine. In order to actually get the results, we need to make it work. So if there is someone and there is a job or a job, you need to actually pick the job that is actually the offer that is offered to you. If, for example, you want a particular job and without any trade-offs, without any compromise, and this is it, you stand more chances, particularly when you are very young, not to get it. So what I would say is that you need to multiply your different possibilities. It's one of the slides, choices. You need, when you are young, to have fallback possibilities. You need to have, I don't mind actually traveling. I don't mind actually working in a 4-star hotel, but I really wanted to work in a 5-star. You need to think broad in order to actually get the job you want. You will never have the job you want, where you want, pay the salary you want, you know, the position you want, and the boss that will like you, you know, all in one bag. At some point, you will have to make choices. You will have to actually have different possibilities. I am sure that a lot of students who are listening today, you know, they are applying tens, dozens, 20 letters, 40 interviews, you know, and they are not getting anywhere. That's where it becomes complicated, and particularly now. But as Rodrigue mentioned, get your CVs, your resumes out, go and for it, have different scenarios, go and sell yourself, and clearly be the guy who you want them to recruit you, you know? I give you an example. Today, I gave the best I could in this presentation. I prepared the best presentation I could in a very short time, you know, and I tried to show my passion, you know, the best I can. Maybe, you know, I'm not always right, you know, I'm not always wrong though, you know, but that's what I want you to become, to show your passion, to, if you want really a job, go and get it.
Look, I know your story. I had the opportunity to talk to you many times, and you actually did a presentation 2 years ago to our students about, you know, how you evolve in the industry, the different position that you had, and if I remember correctly, you had to make compromise when you started in the industry. Can you talk maybe about the position that you accepted? I think it was at Hotel de Paris. Before you got a promotion, you make some concession, and I think that would be a very good example.
Yeah, that was a good one. And you know, Rodrigue, I have many, and I would love to actually be with you, you know, in California to actually be before your students or talk to their students again. But clearly, I can briefly tell you this one. I was in London, working in London, and I wanted to go back to Monaco, Monte Carlo at the Hotel de Paris. And I had also personally, I wanted to get married to my fiancée and so on. So we had decided to go back to Monaco and get married. That would be the first decision and so on. So we had a plan. We had a plan. And in London, that was in 1985, I was working at the Savoy as back of house manager. Back of house manager was in charge of stewarding, dishwashing, banqueting setup, and all these sort of things, and cleaning the building during the night. And I was in charge of about 60 people, team of 60 people. It was a fantastic experience. When I went to the Hotel de Paris, it's because at the Hotel de Paris in Monaco, I had already worked 4 or 5 years prior to that, and I was in the restaurant as a commis waiter and as a chef d'honneur after that, you know. And I said to my fiancée, I said, okay, let's take a week holiday and go to Monaco, Monte Carlo to prepare ourselves. and I will try to line up a few interviews. So I wrote a letter to the general manager of the Hôtel de Paris, explaining that I was coming to Monaco for a few days, and I wanted to have the opportunity to meet with him because I was, looking at the possibility of going back and so on. And then he accepted to meet with me. So I was meeting with him, and he said, "Oh, Luc, I saw your resume. You worked at the Hôtel de Paris before." "Yes, I was a commis and a chef de rang in the restaurant, and so on." "Okay, and I'm looking now to be a food and beverage manager. And this is why I'm here for a week in Monaco, and I want to continue in F&B, And I said, it's very difficult, But I tell you what, currently I'm looking for a chief steward." I said, no, I've just done 2 years of banqueting, of a back of house manager at the Savoy. I've had it. I really promised myself, I will not want to do it again. I said, "It's very sorry, but that will have been a great opportunity for you to come back to the Hôtel de Paris. The position of the food and beverage manager, there is somebody very clearly." And I said, "Okay, true story." I said, "If, for example, I'll accept your offer to be the chief steward of the Hôtel de Paris, and I will put the stewarding, back into shape, and I'm still here, and the position of food and beverage manager becomes available. If I say yes to the job of chief steward, will you say yes? And if you are happy with my work, with my performance, and the job will be for me." I said, "Oh, that was a good one." Thought about for a few seconds, and he said, "Done. If you sign, I'll make the promise." I signed. Okay. I started at the Hôtel de Paris as chief steward. In 3 months, back in order, back into shape, everything really good. I had an objective. I didn't know when, but I have the objective. I tell you what, not even, I would say, 8 months, I think, not even 8 months. The guy decided to go back to Paris. He was a Parisian guy. He resigned, decided to go back to Paris. You know what? The job. And in 1987, I became food and beverage manager of the Hôtel de Paris.
Great story for our students. I think it's very important for them to hear that you have to do what you have to do. We all have expectations and objectives, and we do our best for our students so that they get the best position available, but always keeping in mind that they have to stay open. And I think that example really tells the story, and you are where you are because you did those kind of concessions and you accepted it at the time. You took the challenge, and that allowed you to be F&B manager, and after that probably director of F&B, and now where you are right now. So I think it's a great story for our students. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yes, and the one thing I note also with this story, and that's the thing that also lead my recommendation on the students that we want to place in quality hotels, is the communication and the resilience in, you want something, you talk to the people in charge, you get in contact with the people that can help you get the job, you're really proactive on, going toward your goal. And that is really very important for me when I see a student and I know he really, really wants the job, and he don't hesitate to contact me or talk to the manager at the hotel. I think it's really makes a difference. Don't you think, Luc?
Of course, very important to actually utilize all the means that you have in order to actually make yourself, ready and engaged into actually accepting a new challenge. So that's the way you do it is critical.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. If I may, I have another question from Harvey in California. It's been very commendable to hear how your company was able to keep all their team members employed and cared for in the current recent pandemic. How are you able to take care of your own well-being and keep it for your team's reports and willingness to work? How could those lessons be used for the upcoming leaders in the future?
It's clear that it was very important right from the beginning to look at the financial situation. And this is something that we looked at, daily. How are we going to maintain the cash flow? How are we going to pay the salaries? That was the first, objective. Yeah. So we made a lot of decisions. I had to do a plan of salary reduction. I had to, it's my job. Yeah. But clearly, when we presented every week the situation of the cash flow, what the money, what was coming in, the delay of payments, that we could actually get with our suppliers, with all of this, the owner always actually made the decision to postpone the salary reduction plan for the following month and for the following months and the following months. So it was there ready, but the owner just did not want to get to that stage. And I have to say, very brave, but also it shows a strong commitment from the owner to actually send a message to the team. So now, in reverse, the management, starting by myself, we do not actually brag every day about the situation. No, we are all very happy. It goes without even saying that all the employees are extremely grateful. So when you show that you care, when you show that you are also at the service of your employees, automatically, when you ask them something, they are totally devoted and they are, I can ask them anything, they will do it. Particularly in this moment in time. And it all came from one person with one decision.
Thank you, Luc. Thank you. It's already 11:32 and we are running out of time. It was absolutely delightful to have you on board here and interacting with the students all over the world and the young professionals who are about to start their career in the hospitality industry. I'm gonna lead the talk to Leila, and thank you again, Luc. I hope we will have you again with us at Vatel.
Anytime. I am at your service, and I mean it. I am at service to Rodrigue, Dr. Naderi, Dr. Kumar, clearly, and it's not the first time that I'm saying this. Mm-hmm. I'm here to serve,
Yes,
I'm here to help. I'm here to support. I'm here to coach.
And this is why you are such an amazing professional, and we're so honored to have you here with us. Thank you, Luc.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Yes, thank you all. Really, yes, thank you, Luc, for being this much gracious for your time and also supporting our students. It's just like the way that even you provided guidelines, inspiration, and also just being open, even being communicate with you for any support. I think that means a lot to hear, actually. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you everyone who joined, stayed up to here. I think I really learned even from the great questions that, our participants asked, and also the wonderful responses, actually, wise responses you provided. So it just kind of gives us hope. It's just moving on with what's possible, taking one day at a time. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you, Rodrigue, Nathalie, thank you, Luc. Hope everyone is safe and well. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all. It was fantastic. Perfect.